Well, people, so there was 4 prelims, right? And yo, these were fun fights. They were really fun fights. Now, they didn't necessarily all go how I thought they would. You know what I mean? Um, man, I think I got 2 of the 4. Which, yeah, it's like one of them things. But I will say, one of those other fights was very close. Was very close. And a couple of the fighters, I mean, they came in on like mad short notice. So yeah, I mean, we started off with Charles Rosa against TJ Brown. This was a lightweight fight, but it was short notice for Rosa. So yeah, he fought upper weight class. And TJ Brown came out throwing. He was loading up those bombs, man. He really was. And you thought, you know what I mean? Like that might be it for TJ. But no, he really did show a good usage of tools because he was trying to land bombs, but he was also mixing up the takedowns and he took Rosa down over and over again. Rosa, Rosa, as I said in my preview, Rosa is very good on the ground, right? And yeah, Brown, he couldn't put him away. He tried the arm triangle multiple times, couldn't land it. He tried anacondas and just different submissions, and Rosa, you know, was able to escape. Now, Rosa also he reversed a few times, right? Got himself in some decent positions, but I mean, it also seemed that Rosa was rushing sometimes, you know, to try and get into a submission or something like that. And how many times have you heard position over submission? And that wasn't. Now I might be wrong, but that's what it seemed with Rosa. I kind of feel as well it's partly because of the short notice, right? Where you're like, I mean, I've been training, but I don't know, will my gas tank last? Right? So let me try and end this sooner rather than later. But Brown, he really was very smart with his approach and was able to control Rosa a lot of the fight. So it was a definitely a clear victory for TJ Brown. And having James Krause in your corner, very handy in these kind of situations. We then go to Kevin Crum against Brian Kelleher. So this was a featherweight bout, but Kelleher short notice, so he moved up a division. And another Kraus fighter in Crum, right, who really came out pushing the pressure on Kelleher. Because Crum took it on short notice, and so he's pushing the pressure. You know what I mean? Like looking good. But Brian Kelleher was able to adapt his style, right? Crum had the reach advantage. So you just saw Kelleher, do a lot of double jab, stepping, getting close, land an elbow, just things like that to disrupt everything. So he came into the first round, gets a takedown before it closes, lands a little ground and pound, boom. And you think, oh, that's probably enough to win it. He does the same in a second, but slightly earlier. And then in the third, he gets an early takedown and just controls it. It was another very good win for Brian Kelleher. He really used his skills very well, bro, very well. So we then had um Ramez Brahamine against Court McGee, welterweight fight. And Brahim, he's the young gun here. Court McGee, the old dog. But what I said about Court McGee in his last fight, that was probably the best McGee we had seen in a long while. And I think we'd seen this change in mentality from McGee because there was a few fights where he's pushing forward, but you just didn't see that same hunger. Didn't see that same hunger. But we suddenly, boom, that switch changed, and we saw McGee just back to the old crusher. And whew, in this, he did not give Brahim any space. McGee dominated him. He just pressured him and just poured on the pain, right? He was grappling him, taking him down. And you wondered, right? Will McGee try and take him down? Because Brahim, like, all his finishes has been submissions, and although McGee, boom, he can take you down, he submitted, but you thought, oh, I think Brahim is probably just that little bit more than McGee. But McGee took him down, avoided all attempts, and just smothered and dominated. It was a very good strategy from McGee. Came out pretty unscathed. That was fun. It was a fun fight. And the prelims were rounded off with a Joseph Holmes, Ugly Man Joe, against a Jamie Pickett, the Night Wolf. This was a middleweight. Holmes was making his debut, after looking good on the Contender, looking good in LFA, and then just being mad impressive in CFFC, getting his contract there. So this was an interesting fight, and I think one thing I did not really pick up on when I was looking at this fight, they are basically the same fucking fight. Like they were the same height, same reach. You know what I mean? They utilize a very similar style. So this fight, it started off, and we saw Holmes come out throwing a lot of kicks, looking very good, very sharp. But Pickett was able to get him down, landed some elbows at the end of the round, which I think that took a little bit out of Holmes, but also I think we saw that UFC dump, right? It just happened. So many fighters, they make their debut, and it's just the moment can take over, right? And we've seen these fighters outside the UFC on the Contender look phenomenal, but then in their debut, they're just not clicking the same, right? Second fight, boom, it's back to seeing how they were, but in that debut, it can do something to you. And we just saw Holmes slow down, right? Slow down and just be a step behind Pickett, who, man, Pickett was just mixing up very well. But the big thing, when Holmes landed, right, you could see that the power, and he was getting good effect, but it was just he couldn't sustain the attacks, and Pickett could, and Pickett mixed it up well. He really just used that smothering on the fence, that pressure, right, to continuously wear on Holmes. But hey, it was it's a close fight, and Holmes didn't give up. right? He still kept going, and then towards the end of the fight, he really pushed, landed some good shots, all of that jazz. So although it wasn't maybe the Holmes that we're used to, I don't think he didn't damage his rep here. And it'll be interesting to see how his next fight goes. And Pickett has seemed to find that groove. You know what I mean? He picked up his first win in the last fight. He's continued that here. And I think we're seeing Pickett come into his own now. So, hey, definitely interested to see how Pickett goes from here. And yeah, no, I'm down to see what Holmes does in his next fight. I feel it will be very different, but fun prelims, people. Fun prelims. Good way to bring us into that main